Hi there, I'm Dana Brooks Cooper, and I'm joined with Carrie Roan today from Barrett, Fasig Brooks, and we're going to talk about a little bit of following up to a post I put on Facebook yesterday. We're talking about the crime rate in Tallahassee, and no one's happy about that for sure, but we keep hearing about these young people getting shot. And in this community, with so many young people because of our colleges and then people who love the community and stick around after school, we've got a lot of young people here. And a lot of them rent their homes. And so whenever we hear about them getting shot, or God forbid, some of these other horrible things that happen, they're held against their will. Sometimes it's a sexual assault. Sometimes it's a fight after a bunch of people get together. But we hear about people getting hurt in apartment complexes. And I know you have had to bring cases like that to get people the compensation they need to get back going with their lives. So tell us about the cases you've had and why this keeps coming up again, do you think?
Well, I've had some really good negligent security cases against apartment complexes. And what's happening is that apartment complexes are big money makers, especially in a town like Tallahassee or Gainesville or other college towns. And they put profit over really the safety of their lessees or their renters. So, there's a big difference between the student housing where the parents are more involved and it's more expensive, and kind of the housing that people are renting coming right out of college.
Or sometimes it's owned by corporations, and sometimes maybe it's a smaller group.
There's a lot of foreign investors right now that are buying up a ton of property in Tallahassee and a ton of property in Gainesville. So they're individuals who are, or small businesses from abroad that are investing in our property here. And what they do is they're not putting money into security. They're not paying to figure out what type of incident reports are being called in on their property, how often TPD is being called by their tenants, what kind of stuff is happening in their parking lots.
How many people have gotten hurt there before?
They just have no idea. Yeah. And a lot of the properties are older. A lot of the newer properties are being built in neighborhoods that are kind of on the edge of crime-ridden areas. And they're not hiring private security companies to come in and evaluate them. They can get free evaluations from TPD and Leon County Sheriff's Department, and they don't do it.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because, if we had all the money in the world, we could be as safe as we ever wanted to be. Yeah. So, are these things that they need to do to make their tenants safer? Are they really expensive, cost-prohibitive things?
No, not at all. It is free to get TPD to come by and do a crime evaluation. It costs about $200 a month to hire a private security company to have a guard come and do random drive-throughs at night. It costs $500 a year to get an arm, a traffic arm, to keep people that don't live in the apartment complex from coming in there. And one of the cases that I had, somebody drove in to an apartment complex with a gun, and he would not have been able to do that if there was an arm there. Right. Yes, he might have gone and jumped the fence. Yes, if he really wanted to get somebody, he was going to do it. But apartment complexes have a duty and an obligation to try to keep their people safe, and they're just not doing it.
And this is something that comes up a lot, I hear, is, we're talking about things that are crimes. These things that people are doing to other people. And
Bad
these
crimes.
People, they're victimizing people. It's rape, it's murder, it's aggravated assault. Things that really ruin people's lives, keep them out of the workforce, keep them from finishing their education, keep them from contributing, as good members of society. So we all pay a price when that happens. But and that's why we have prosecutors, that's why we have police officers and law enforcement to get these bad guys and put them away. But in a case like this where there is a crime, is there also an ability for that person who is a victim to be made whole, to make up for the money they've lost or their medical expenses or wages? How does that happen? Because a lot of times these criminals aren't sitting on a pile of money you can sue them for and get.
Right. Well, that's the number one thing that an apartment complex and their defense lawyers are going to argue. And you've done defense work and I've done defense work. And that's the number one thing that we would argue is it's going to happen anyway. The crime is going to happen anyway. It's not our fault. Yeah. But when you're an apartment complex and you have a big fat insurance policy behind you and you're making $100,000 a year off of your tenants, you have an obligation, just like you do to provide them with clean water, you have an obligation to provide them with a safe place to live and a safe place for their visitors to come visit. That is what the law says.
Yeah, and if they breach that duty to you, it's just a duty of care. We all have a duty to act reasonably under the circumstances, and if they breach that duty, you have a private civil cause of action, even though you may be a victim of a crime. And that's important. That's why you need to always pursue your legal rights and make sure you know what your options are before you just give up, because that's the second part of victimization is not feeling like you can stand up and hold someone accountable and be made whole. And that's what lawyers like us are here to help you do, quite frankly. It doesn't cost you anything to call us and see if you have a case. We probably investigated these people before and know that they're bad actors. It seems to be the same people over and over again. Like you said, there's some complexes that are exemplary and do an excellent job. So we know what it's supposed to look like. It just doesn't always look like that. So Carrie Roan is here. Carrie, Carrie, at TallahasseePersonalInjury.com. Dana at TallahasseePersonalInjury.com, or you could call us at 224-3310. Thanks.